New Super Mario Bros. Wii. I've got a bit of a history with this one. Once upon a time, my sister, myself, and Gary sat down and played this game. And because of the unique jank of it, co-op, we were playing co-op, we laughed ourselves. We were all laughing so hard and so frequently, we actually gave ourselves headaches. It was fun. It was a fun night. But it says a lot about this game. This was a fascinating one to cover because I was expecting it to score worse than it did, but it actually scored pretty well. This took everything from the previous game, New Super Mario Bros. On the DS, and decided to iterate. It's like, okay, let's add some new power-ups, let's polish up the level design, let's zoom the camera out so we can play with the level design more. Let's design the world flow a little bit better, and just so forth and so on. There's a whole lot of specific and individual things that they did better. There's... Weirdly enough, the jank of this game is one of the things I actually recommend about it. See, for those of you who don't understand, when you're playing in co-op, you have collision with the other players. Now, that's fun and interesting and janky, but it's also hilariously aggravating because you have collision with the other players. So if you're both going for a difficult jump, there's a good chance you're both going to die because you're going to bump into each other. So that's cool. They also came up with this brand new invention for this game. I actually mentioned this briefly with another game on the 3DS, which we've already covered. They have this thing where the camera tries to, like, they essentially invented a script that's always running to decide what the camera's facing at and how far it's zoomed out and all kind of other fun stuff, which really adds to the level design. Because, again, you can tell what you're looking at. You can kind of plan and map out and otherwise be ready for what's coming. That's cool. And a lot of much more interesting and fun level design stuff. And all kinds of great stuff. So I would be saying near universal praise here because of all the good stuff. If not for the frickin' control scheme. Now, I'm pretty sure I've already talked about this when it comes to Mario Galaxy 2, but on the off chance I haven't, this is one of many games on the Wii that is absolutely ruined by being on the Wii. Now, I know that some people roll their eyes when I say this, but let me be very, very clear. The Wii controls can go directly to hell. First and foremost is the waggle. And this is the biggest problem by far. So, let me try to explain the waggle for a second. Let's say I've got a Wiimote here. Now, I need to do a precise movement at a precise time. It doesn't have to be perfect, it doesn't have to be frame perfect, but it needs to be pretty close to when I hit the button, right? So the game naturally attaches a waggle to that, which is when you shake the controller, and that sends an input. To be very clear, by the way, this waggle sends a binary input, so if you replaced it with a button press, that wouldn't change anything at all. That's important. It's not like the R2 buttons on a PS3 or PS4 controller or whatever, where there's like a gradient there. That's not an analog input. It is a binary input, on or off, nothing else, okay? So, waggle, suckitude. When you start the waggle, I feel like I've just got this already, so forgive me if I'm repeating myself, but when you start the waggle, and when you end the waggle, somewhere in this path is when it acknowledges that you're waggling, because it's not a great sensor, so it's not very precise. You don't really have a control over when exactly it happens. You're hurting the controller, you're hurting your wrist and your hand by doing it. And also, it's not fun to do this while you're playing a video game. So this is already irritating in games that do it at all. But in a game like this, the waggle is one of the most regular things you'll be hitting, just like it was back in Galaxy 2. So this is a, honestly, fantastic game, absolutely ruined by a massively frustrating control scheme. This is a damn shame, because as Galaxy 1 and hopefully Skyward Sword, fingers crossed, prove, it's not like they can't fix that control scheme. But I suppose we'll see. Either way, I don't actually have much else to share about this one. This is other than the control scheme, an improvement of the original in every way, which means the next one is the 3DS one.